The story begins with an injured man who's breathing heavily. He screamed that he didn't want to die. He had to escape quickly. He leaned on the wall to support himself. With resentment, he wondered why he was the only one going through it. He lost his footing and fell face down on the ground. He called for anyone. He crawled just to move, while asking for anyone to help him. His expression showed pain and deep anguish. This person is Takamichi Yoshito, a low-tier challenger. All of a sudden, a giant foot appeared. It was from a tall, monstrous creature that walks on two legs. It has horns and wings, and it is approaching Yoshito. This monster is an elite demon. Yoshito tried to hold himself up to face the elite demon while wallowing in self-pity for being miserable. He clenched his teeth as he narrates how he had been tormented and been looked down at. He angrily yelled if that was fun and if the world is satisfied now. He had a determined expression when he announced that he will never give up, even if everyone laughs at him or the damn world abandons him. He swiftly ran to approach the elite demon. He declared that he had no choice but to move forward, and then stabbed the elite demon, but it hit him, which caused him immense pain. He had a sad look in his eyes. He was hurting. He felt pain all throughout his body. The elite demon was about to fire a laser beam towards him. Takamichi Yoshito was focused on the immense pain. The laser beam brightened the area, and the elite demon released it in Yoshito's direction. He tried to block it with a sword, but it did not help. He screamed loudly from the pain. He watched the floor crack and realized that it was a really bad situation. The floor completely shattered, and Yoshito ended up falling. As he was falling, he saw the elite demon watching him. His last thought is to become a strong challenger. But he narrated that nothing has started yet, even though it was just about to begin. His face was in deep despair and pain as he reached out his hand wishing to be saved. Eventually, he died. In this world, it is filled with magic towers. It is an enigmatic structure beyond human understanding. It is a commonly known term for tower-like dungeons that suddenly appeared all over the world. The interior is like a world straight out of a game. There are swords, magic, and skills, as well as monsters. The magic stones and treasures sleeping in the Materno are traded at high prices. Those who sought treasures were called challengers. The magic stone and treasures sleeping in the magic tower are traded at high prices. However, challenging the Materno came with a risk to life. Even though it's like a game, death in the magic tower means death in reality. Yoshito has his eyes closed. He slowly opened it, and his first thought is that he died again. He got up, but his whole body reflected his resigned state. He uttered that it should be how things should go. The system showed him that his death had been confirmed. The skill Infinite Revival has been activated, and 10 seconds remained. Infinite Revival. No matter how many times the challenger dies in the magic tower, it is a skill that can bring him back to life. But Yoshito was angry, and he cursed. He expressed that he had been fooled. After graduating from high school, he lived a life of just working part-time jobs. But then, the magic tower appeared. He thought his life would change if he became a challenger. Every day was a struggle to seize magic stones and treasures. In order to win the competition, he tried to acquire a rare skill that no one else had. Skill stones allow the acquisition of specific skills. The one selling Infinite Revival was the merchant at the entrance of the magic tower. Takamichi Yoshito withdrew all of his savings. He even went into debt to purchase the Infinite Revival. And then he obtained the body that doesn't die, but there's a catch. After dying once again against the elite demon earlier, Infinite Revival had been activated, and as a death penalty, it applies a permanent debuff of defense, -500. With Infinite Revival, each time he comes back to life, his abilities are reduced. There was indeed a death penalty. Yoshito had died 4 times so far. The first time he died, his defense was reduced by 50, even though his original stat value was only 53. Thanks to that, he was brought to the brink of death with a single blow earlier. The second time, his attack has been lessened with 70 points. In the Magic Tower, the body structure changes based on the stats. If agility decreases, the body becomes heavier, and eventually, he'll become unable to move. Once that happens, he won't be able to continue as a challenger. He ended up burdened with debt and stuck with a completely worthless skill. It was truly making him frustrated. It was like getting closer to death every damn time. After a few seconds, our MC opened his eyes again. He was in a poor state as he wondered if he just came back to life. His body felt heavy. It was probably because of his agility, which became 1. With this, even moving around was tough. He looked around and wondered where he was. He assumed that he had fallen to a lower floor. He sensed a different atmosphere. He had never heard of such a place in the lower levels. And then he noticed something. It surprised him. Right there was a gold skill stone. Gold means that it's ultra rare. The skill stone could be sold for such a high price, and it might be possible for Yoshito to repay the debts he took. That's the only thing he's determined to bring with him no matter what. He noticed that there were no monsters around. So, he thought it was an easy win. He ran. But he immediately sensed danger. There was a trap. The wall released several blades that cut him. He was stabbed in his left eye, his chest, all over his body. It was a brutal scene. The system informed him that he had died, and the infinite revival had been activated. And as a death penalty, he had a permanent debuff of strength -65. When he came back to life, he was breathing heavily. He knew it was an instant death for him. He had a horrified expression as he realized that it was a trap. He grits his teeth as he utters that just by this level. He won't be stopped. Yoshito couldn't move his limbs. Then he realized his muscle strength was reduced. He leaned on the wall for support, but the brick on where his hand is moved. He anticipated what would happen next. A dragon statue appeared before him. It looked menacing with its sharp eyes. And then it breathes out fire. Yoshito yelled loudly as he became ashes. The system informed him that he had died. The infinite revival had been activated, and as a death penalty, he received a permanent debuff of HP -250. When he woke up, the dragon statue was still breathing fire, so he was quick to dock to stay alive. And then, he rolled away from the area. He had a stressed look, but he finally got it. He saw the narrow passage earlier, and he knew it exists to lure challengers enticed by rare skills and to effectively kill them with traps. In normal circumstances, it would be instant death. No matter how many lives a person has, he won't be able to pass through. But unfortunately, he's confident that he's currently the weakest challenger in that magic tower. But he already has plenty of alternative lives. That advantage gave him the resolve. He runs as fast as he can, until he was hit on his head. That caused him to die. Now, a permanent debuff of MP -80 has been applied. Then his next death caused him a debuff of Tech -55. He thought of how many times that he already died. He had no sensation in his entire body. His death gave him a death penalty of permanent debuff of VIT -90. The next death is a debuff of Res -40. Yoshito's vision became blurry. There was an instance where the ground released spikes that made Yoshito a skewer. His blood splattered in the area. It was brutal. The death penalty of permanent int -60 has been applied. Takamichi Yoshito felt that his consciousness was about to fade away. However, he grinned. It was still his victory. He grabbed the stone skill, and in an instant he fainted. The system asked if he wanted to use the skill stone. It asked him twice. And since there is no response, automatic usage has been initiated. Then the system informed him that he had acquired inversion. Yoshito woke up. He was confused. He felt stronger and his consciousness was clear. More than that, he doesn't feel the effects of the death penalties that were so harsh before. He wondered what was going on. He decided to check his status window, and he did not expect what he saw. The powerful negative effects he had been receiving have all turned into positives. His skills are infinite revival and inversion, and a new window popped out. It displayed that he had obtained a new skill. It was inversion skill, which reverses all effects, including buffs, debuffs, and status abnormalities. Takemichi Yoshito finally understood what happened. It was because of that skill that all debuffs he had received so far have been reversed into positive effects. He wondered when he acquired such a skill. Then he noticed the glass case where the stone was. It was empty. He wondered if that rare skill stone was automatically used on him. He saw his money flying away, but he thought that it might just be a good thing. If all penalties of infinite revival are reversed by inversion, then he'll get stronger every time he dies. And with that power, as a challenger, he can now rise to the top. He vowed that no matter what, he will become the strongest challenger, earn a fortune, and acquire fame. So, leaving that aside, he looked at the path that he took and wondered if, in order to return home, he'll have to go that way again. The instant death trap has returned to its pre-activated state. He was cautious since he assumed that the trap would get activated once he got close. He was not thrilled with the idea of being killed again by all of those instant death traps. He intensely refused to experience that again. Even if he was revived, it was still a painful thing to experience, and he knew that if died too many times in a row, he'd definitely go insane. That thought made him shiver. His arms hugged his body, but eventually he let go. With his current state, his stats are about double the original now thanks to the inversion. He thought that maybe he might be able to break through the traps head-on. He swallowed his nervousness. He told himself that there's no other way. He had no choice but to give it a try. He dashed away, and the spears appeared, and it was instantly released. It moved so quickly that it was already just inches away from his face. One blade was about to hit his eye, but this fucker moved with an incredible speed to evade the blades, and he landed safely on the other side. He can see the movements of the blade faster, and that made him serious. Another trap had been activated, and he swiftly moved in an unconventional pattern to evade all of it, until he reached the next one, which had a large swinging axe blade. He saw his movements as slow, so he focused to go faster, and eventually passed through that trap. Then he was prepared for the next. He ran head-on towards a silhouette. Up close, it was the statue of the dragon. He told the dragon, "In your dreams," and then he opened his status window and took out an item. He held a large knife and smashed the statue before it breathed out flames. He gained back his footing, and the moment he does, another set of blades were on its way towards him. Yoshito focused, and he moved in different ways to evade it. He let out a sigh after it was done. Takemichi Yoshito is convinced now. Infinite revival and the death penalty obtained each time it is activated. Also, inversion. With that combination, he can really become what he wanted, to become the strongest challenger. After a while, he looked up and commented that it was too high. If he was the old him, going back up from his current place would have been impossible. But now, the situation was already different. He moved really quickly and jumped from side to side of the walls, and he made it out of that hole. The elite demon was still in that place where they fought earlier. With a serious expression, he told the elite demon, "Sorry for making you wait." The elite demon smiled. They faced each other. Takemichi Yoshito held his sword, and his sword clashed with the elite demon's arms. They both stepped away from each other. The elite demon watched him. With a hint of mockery, he asked the elite demon if it wanted to try to kill him again. That triggered the elite demon, causing it to make a loud roar. Takemichi Yoshito was serious. He replied that he'll play along with the demon. He asked the elite demon that with just one life that it has, how long could it last in a fight with him who had infinite lives? He uttered, "Let's find out." Takemichi Yoshito ran towards the elite demon. The elite demon prepared to counterattack. It punched Yoshito, but he had easily evaded it. And just as he thought, his stats are really amazing for increasing like that. He leapt and slashed the elite demon's arm. That made the elite demon yell in pain. Yoshito told the elite demon something about its attack. Doesn't scare him anymore. He punched the demon. It was a powerful punch that when the demon collided to the ground, it caused an explosion. Yoshito announced that it was his victory, but he saw that even if the body of the elite demon's body was buried beneath the debris, something had glowed. He knew it was bad, so he ran away as fast as he could. The elite demon had released a powerful laser beam. When the smoke cleared, it revealed that the elite demon was back on its feet. It had a smug expression on its face. Yoshito commented that it was a close call. Recently, there's something that has bothered Yoshito, that the elite doesn't seem like any third-floor monster at all. The higher a challenger goes in the magic tower, the stronger the monsters become. So being on the floor means that only weak monsters should appear there. The elite demon flew in front of Yoshito, and it flapped its wing, which created a gush of wind. Our MC covered his face with his arms. He knew his stats definitely have increased significantly thanks to the death penalties. Yoshito told the elite demon that he should be stronger than the challengers around the area, which already makes it unusual to find someone like the elite demon on that floor. And Yoshito had never heard that happening before. He deflected the elite demon's attack using his sword. That made the elite demon fly up in the ceiling. Yoshito called its attention to ask about what that demon really is. The elite demon looked at him while emanating a horrifying aura. Yoshito uttered that he didn't expect an answer, and unfortunately for the elite demon, the enemy it's facing is exponentially strong. So Yoshito told the elite demon that they should settle this once and for all. The elite demon draws out powerful spherical magic in both of its hands. Upon seeing that, Yoshito clicked his tongue. This time, the elite demon became serious by using both hands. Then our MC noticed that the elite demon is also releasing ominous power. It started to draw out something from the bright light in its hand. It was a sword. Yoshito recognized that the elite demon plans to go all out from then on. It moved incredibly fast and swung his sword towards Yoshito. Its attack is like lightning. Several of it hits the ground. Our MC then kept running. But the elite demon was enjoying its upper hand at the fight. It flew to directly attack Yoshito, and that caused the ground to shatter. Fortunately, Yoshito was able to block it with his sword. Yoshito noticed something. The other hand of the elite demon is about to release a laser beam. Yoshito could only say, "Shit," and that reduced Yoshito's head into dust. The system informed Yoshito that he died. As a death penalty, he received a permanent debuff of strength -40. Another screen displaying the debuff inversion of strength +40 has been confirmed. The elite demon stood there. Out of the blue, Yoshito appeared behind the elite demon. But the elite demon was able to block Yoshito's sword in time. Our MC was triggered for being killed by this elite demon. That's because even if he can revive, it still hurts like hell. Our MC noticed that he can now push back the elite demon thanks to the strength debuff he received. Yet it still wasn't enough. He was able to land a slash on the elite demon, and it caused the elite demon to yell in pain. After that, it had a spherical orb of light in its chest. Its powers blocked Yoshito's sword, which caused the sword to break in half. Our MC did not expect this. The elite demon roared loudly, and the system displayed that Takemichi Yoshito had died. He received a death penalty of a permanent debuff of agility -60. Then the next window informed him that the debuff inversion of agility +60 had been confirmed. His consciousness came back and noted that his agility got buffed, and with that, he had a more determined look on his eyes. He stood confidently in front of the elite demon. He told the demon that it fought really well, But Takamichi Yoshito's eyes were fierce. He moved at an incredible speed, way faster than before. The elite demon anticipated his attack. But Yoshito moved to the other direction quickly, and he slashed the elite demon with his sword. For just a brief moment, they stood with their backs facing each other. But the elite demon's expression changed. Takamichi Yoshito uttered that it was the end. He successfully sliced the elite demon in half. Its body fell to the ground. Takamichi Yoshito told the elite demon that its life is limited, so it had no chance of winning from the start. Our MC glared at it, and then he grinned. He told the elite demon that whether they go to hell or somewhere else, or even if the elite demon gains infinite lives, he hopes they would meet each other again, and when that time comes. He smirked and told the elite demon that they would have a fair fight. Takamichi Yoshito sat down and sighed. He managed to beat the elite demon somehow. But he's a bit annoyed that he got killed twice even though he had gotten stronger. And then he took a lot of his broken sword. He had a funny surprised expression when the remaining blade crumbled. Now, he needed a sturdier sword. He planned to get some money by collecting the magic stones, then he'll buy a new weapon. He looked around, and there were some magic stones on the ground. At the Magic Tower Heme's first floor. There's a safe area. At the entrance of each floor of the Magic Tower, there is a section where monsters do not appear. That section is called the safe area, which is where adventurers can rest. Also, while exploring the Magic Tower, challengers may obtain equipment and items. There are often stalls in the safe area where you can buy and sell them. He checked out a silver sword, and he happily found one that won't break easily. Its price was high, though. Most of the stones gathered earlier are almost gone. But he let go of that idea and chose to focus on rising up from there. He decided to think of this as an initial investment. Then he noticed strange gazes from the people around. They talked about him, the guy who was fooled into buying infinite revival. People see him as a poor being. Upon hearing that, Yoshito figured out that people thought of him as a pitiful challenger who was sold a trash skill. He got a little annoyed that they all knew, but no one told him before he got fooled. Infinite revival might just be trash to other challengers, but for him, who had obtained inversion, it's undoubtedly a god-tier skill. Infinite revival and inversion, a skill that only Yoshito can master. He finds that idea cool. His daydreaming was suddenly interrupted when he heard a loud scream. He was curious what it was. A bulky man arrogantly announced that he will challenge the mid-boss room on the 5th floor. This man called himself the Dominator, Nogishi-sama. Yoshito felt embarrassed for Nogishi. Dominator is a title given to those who challenge the boss room at the top of the Magic Tower. The Magic Tower disappears once the boss on the top floor is defeated. Those who defeat the boss can obtain powerful and unique weapons. Dominators are usually respected by ordinary challengers. But Nogishi is kind of a bully. And then, Yoshito noticed the person Nogishi was arguing with. She's a woman with yellow hair. She told Nogishi that he's just a person who challenged a low-tier magic tower. She told him that anyone could do the same. This woman's friend, the one with black hair, called her Mana and tried to calm her down. This friend with a black hair is named Shiramachi Yuri, a level 13 challenger. Mana told her to let go. She reminded her friend that they found the mid-boss room first, and she angrily asked if it's really okay to let that fake dominator snatch away their rewards for clearing the dungeon. Yuri admitted the rewards for clearing the mid-boss room are pretty tempting, but the dangers are numerous, and she thought that leaving it to Nogishi and the others might be the best idea. Mana remained silent. Nogishi took that as the conversation being concluded. Nogishi told the little girls to keep quiet and watch. He added that the unique equipment bestowed upon him as a dominator, and with that Aegis Mimesis, he can block any attack. The girls felt bad. Good thing someone called them. It was Yoshito. He came up to them to say hi. Nogishi joined their greeting. His face came close to Yoshito. Nogishi smirked. To mock Yoshito, he announced that it was no other than the weakest challenger. Nogishi wanted to ask, as if he didn't know, about the rumors of Yoshito being scammed by the shitty merchant into buying some shitty skill. He insulted Yoshito for being pathetic to be the one being exploited. Yoshito pursed his lips. Then he sighed. He ignored the man in front of him and suggested to the two girls to leave the mid-boss to Nogishi and the others. They were disappointed that Yoshito said the same thing. Yoshito then approaches them. While saying that, the three of them would just go and challenge the boss room at the top. He declared that they could do it with speed that others and Nogishi can't even keep up with. Shiramachi Yuri got confused on what he was saying. Yoshito told them that he's not just saying random stuff. He confirmed that he has a proper plan to win. Nogishi grits his teeth. He felt insulted. He released his power and cursed at Takamichi. Yoshito glared at him. Nogishi attacked him and warned him not to say that he's bullying him. He went to attack, but Yoshito evaded it. He did not stop attacking, and all of it was calmly evaded by Yoshito. Yoshito stepped forward. Nogishi was confused, but Yoshito did that to trip him, and he fell face flat on the ground. Nogishi's lackeys got worried about him. Nogishi was confused about what just happened. Yoshito loomed over him. Then he asked Nogishi how long he plans to keep rolling around. And Yoshito announced that everyone was there to see the Dominator-sama's great skills to challenge the mid-boss. Yoshito smiled as he wrapped up everything, and he invited the girls to proceed with him. At the Magic Tower, Hermes' 4th floor, Nogishi and his lackeys, and Takamichi Yoshito with the girls, they all entered together. Someone called Yoshito. It was Mana. She's worried if it's safe to follow Nogishi. Then she added that her worry stems from Nogishi being not strong enough. Yuri expressed that she's worried too, especially that the monsters they fought up until now had been really strong, and if they got caught in a fight, it would be really bad. Yoshito assured them that it will be fine. Mana and Yuri are challengers whom he met in the Magic Tower. Mana is level 15 and Yuri is level 13. And compared to them, Yoshito is at level 8. It's perfectly natural to be concerned about it. But the current Yoshito, regardless of his level, has increased significantly. And if they get into a fight, he's confident to put those monsters into dust. Nogishi then called Yoshito, and he arrogantly told Yoshito that it's fine if he stays on the sidelines while they go to defeat the mid-boss, but Yoshito will be on his own against the small fries. Yoshito was a bit disgusted. In his head, Nogishi was a little scared earlier. But he guessed that Nogishi finally pulled himself together now. They all became alert when they all sensed something. Monsters put on a sneaky attack. Nogishi was able to block the monster's sword with his shield. He attempted to hit the monster with his shield. The monster stepped back. The monster was a lizard man. The lizard man roared loudly. Nogishi said that it was just a single lizard man, so it will be just easy. Takamichi Yoshito told him to wait. Yoshito noticed that something's wrong, and then he sensed something from above. Numerous lizard men appeared. Nogishi panicked that there was a lot. And then a Redfoot appeared. There was a menacing red lizard man that the rest of the lizard men respected. It was the Lizard Commander, a superior species of lizard man, and it commands the swarm. The Lizard Commander pointed his sword at them, and the lizard men took that as the cue to attack. Yoshito observed them, and then he grinned. Mana asked Yuri to protect the Yoshito together. The two girls positioned themselves to sandwich him to be able to protect him. Yoshito said that it's okay. He yelled that he can fight too. Mana was stressed out. She yelled at him to not act tough in a situation like that. Yoshito was surprised with her unexpected behavior. It took him time to process what she's saying. Mana told him that the opponents are way out of his league. Yoshito felt offended. Then he heard Yuri call him. He was astonished, as she begged him to fall back since it's dangerous. As they fight against the lizard men, Yoshito told them no. He expressed that he can also fight, but no one cared to listen. He tried to reach out to them to be heard. Eventually, he gave up. And that's when he realized that everyone thinks that he's just a liability. He felt uncomfortable with the shitty feeling. A loud roar can be heard from the lizard commander, and the lizard commander swung his sword at Nogishi. Nogishi was blasted away. He was about to fall on his back, but eventually he gained his footing. Click! That sound surprised him, and he looked down. He stepped on a tile that was pushed down. Yoshito knew it was a trap. While everyone kept their backs to Yoshito to protect him, they didn't realize that the ground beneath him shattered, and he fell. Yoshito cursed while falling down. The girls eventually noticed him. They both have panicked looks on their faces. Yoshito asked why it was him who's falling and not Nogishi. Magic Tower Hermes. As the name implies, countless traps put the challengers at the mercy of the tower. However, Yoshito was full of resolve. That kind of trap doesn't faze him anymore. He's close to the ground where blades await him. So, with an incredible speed, he moved back and forth the walls to go down nicely. Once he landed, he commented that it was good that he hadn't received a single injury. He looked around and saw several lizard men. Not just any lizard men, but lizard man commanders. Numerous of them. He knew there's nowhere to run. They're not going to let him get away. But he mentioned that he also had enough. He took out his sword. And while exuding murderous intent, he uttered that he's sick of all those traps. The lizard man commanders watched him. He told them that it won't matter how many of them will come to him. It's just going to help him test out his new sword. He told them that they would soon realize what they had just done. In one quick and swift move, he had hit several of those lizard man commanders. He continued what he was saying, that they will find out their mistake of bringing him to that place. He yelled, "You shitty lizards!" The lizard men on that lower level are all of a higher ranking. Until recently, Yoshito considered those monsters something that he could never beat. A lizard man launched an attack towards him, but the current Yoshito faced it head-on with his sword, and was able to attack it easily, and slashed its body. He's confident that he could beat them. Several lizard men attacked him at the same time. He easily dodged it. The lizard men were confused at his incredible speed. But that did not last long since Yoshito cut their heads off. He was breathing heavily when he asked, "What's up?" He glared at them. The lizard men are keeping their distance at him, waiting for him to fall into a trap. But Yoshito is aware of that. He dared them to kill him if they could. That triggered the lizard men. They made monster noises all at once to express their annoyance. Yoshito ran towards the huge number of lizard men. He felt that he could properly fight against those monsters, and that he's no longer the person who used to be protected. He asked the lizard men, "You're scared to death, aren't you?" Because he noticed that they were inching away. With a murderous aura exuding from him, Takamichi Yoshito told them that he knows how they feel, since he already experienced it, and that's why. He'll just finish them in an instant. After a while, he let out a breath. Finally, he finished all of them. He noticed the staircase on the side. He proceeded to ascend the staircase to go back to where he came from. There was a large stone door, and he passed through that. It was funny how he complained how he keeps climbing up and falling down. The two girls noticed him. Yuri was shocked to see him. She inspected him and announced that it doesn't look like he received any injuries. She let out a breath, since she felt relieved. She told Yoshito that she really wanted to help him, but she couldn't find any paths leading down at all. Mana asked if he was there all along, and she confirmed if he got attacked by monsters on the way. He was surprised by her question, but he answered no, that there are no issues at all. But in his mind, it's because he defeated all those high-rank lizard men easily. Then he looked for Nogishi and the others. Yuri stuttered while answering. Mana narrated that when Yoshito fell into the hole, she managed to defeat a group of lizard men somehow, but Nogishi assumed that Yoshito was dead and quickly headed towards the boss room. She was angry at Nogishi for doing that, even though he's the one who actually activated the trap. Yoshito told her not to be so angry because of that, because it was expected of Nogishi's nature. She tried to protest. In a serious tone, Yoshito called the girls names, and he shyly thanked them for worrying about him. The girls were caught off guard with his gesture, but they were happy. He invited them to proceed so they can still catch up to Nogishi and the others. But he saw something that surprised him. There was a furious lizard man behind the girls. He wondered if this is one of the creatures that Nogishi and the others failed to defeat. The lizard man went to attack Yuri. Yoshito panicked as he ran as fast as he could to get her out of harm's way on time. That's when Yuri saw the lizard man behind her. Mana and Yoshito both looked worried. Mana closed her eyes so she wouldn't see Yuri's end, while Yoshito did his best to get there as soon as possible. He leapt with such force that it cracked the ground and shocked Mana. He made it in time to block the lizard man's sword with his sword. Yuri was surprised with his actions. Mana joined the fight to support. She initiated to slice the lizard man. When the lizard man was down, she commented that it was such a dangerous situation. Yoshito stared at his now transparent sword. Yuri then came up to him while stuttering. She blushed while expressing her gratitude. Yoshito was caught off guard and replied that it was a good thing that he made it on time. Mana's expression was funny as she watched the two have a conversation while being bashful. And then she inquired on how Yoshito was able to react that way on that attack. He grinned and suggested to her that maybe that shows that he can be of use, and with a heavy feeling he told them that he's no longer a dead weight. A few moments later, they reached the Magic Tower Hermes' 5th floor. Yoshito looked at his status screen. He defeated a huge amount of Lizardman commanders, so he rose by 2 levels at once. That made him ponder. His improved status from the level up isn't from a buff or debuff, so it seemed like they can't be targeted by inversion. And in addition, the range of his stat increases. It wasn't small. Even though he just fought those things, the attack increase from the inverted death penalty is 65. Compared to that, the attack increase from level ups is a measly 2. That made him conclude something about the combination of death penalty and inversion. It is really seriously overpowered. His attention then shifted as soon as Yuri called out to him. They arrived at the door of the room where the 5th floor mid-boss was. Mana informed them that the Magic Tower Hermes is predicted to have 10 floors. She added that the room should be in the middle of the tower since it hasn't been long since the tower's conquest began. Yuri and her were the first ones to discover this, but when they returned to the 1st floor to prepare for the fight, they were caught by Nogishi, and just thinking about it pisses her off. Funnily, in her anger, she acted like a dog and growled. Yuri was nice enough to calm her down. Yoshito was about to push the door open as he expressed that Nogishi and the others should just be ahead. He expressed that no matter how much one prepares or strategizes for it, a mid-boss is something that needs to be taken seriously. He's quite nervous, anticipating what's inside, and he finally took a step inside. As soon as he went in, a body was being thrown in the air. He noticed it. He became horrified. The body collided with the wall with a loud impact. That person groaned in pain. Yoshito noticed Nogishi ahead. Nogisihi calls him Takamichi, and was surprised to see him still alive. He told Yoshito to take a good look at the mid-boss protecting the room. It was a big purple ogre-like monster, and it made a loud noise. This monster is called an Orc Lord. The Orc Lord went to attack Nogishi. Upon seeing this, Yoshito got worried about him. But Nogishi was a proud man. He told Yoshito that he has no need for his concern. Nogishi prepared his shield in anticipation of the attack. He was proud to announce that an attack like that isn't getting through his Aegis Mimesis, and he went to push back the Orc Lord with his shield. He mentioned that in the group battle with the lizard men earlier, he was caught off guard by the surprise attack. He expressed that in a one-on-one he had no intention of losing. Meanwhile, Yuri approached the man who was blasted away earlier to ask if he's all right. The man expressed how amazed he is with Nogishi. This is because he was sent flying with just one attack while Nogishi was able to hold his ground. Nogishi was strong enough not to budge at all. Nogishi told Yoshito not to look away, because he will clearly show him how different he is from a small fry like Takamichi. Upon saying that statement, the Orc Lord had rushed towards this loser. The Orc Lord attacked again, and it was so powerful that it sent debris flying. But Nogishi just stood there. He took it head-on just with his shield. That annoyed the Orc Lord. It made loud noises as it went on a rampage. Then it went to lift its axe, and it gave a powerful blow equivalent to 3 Orc Lords. That made the Orc Lord breathe heavily. But it came back to its senses. It was when it heard Nogishi say the true power of a mid-boss is just something like that. It was a huge insult, and Nogishi thought that if that was the case, it would be an automatic win for him, Nogishi the challenger. He prepared his shield with a smug look on his face. Yoshito slowly approached them. His eyes are focused on the item received from a boss of a magic tower, Nogishi's shield. He was surprised to learn the power of unique equipment. He knew that Nogishi's personal stats shouldn't be that impressive, but because of that shield, he's able to perfectly defend against the mid-boss's attacks. The Orc Lord attacked again as it made loud monster noises to intimidate the enemy. But Nogishi scoffed at it, and taunted it by saying that its attacks are pretty simple. The Orc Lord gave all his might for that attack, and yet it was blasted away with Nogishi's shield. Nogishi told his comrades that it's the right opportunity, and 2 men dashed towards the Orc Lord. They sliced its body, and green fluid splattered. The Orc Lord groaned in pain. Someone immediately moved. It was Nogishi. He leapt that it surprised the Orc Lord. He lifted his fist and told the Orc Lord that it was a big mistake for the Orc Lord to lower his head. And with a powerful punch, he hit the Orc Lord's head. The Orc Lord groaned in pain, and its body fell to the ground. Nogishi immediately sought Yoshito's attention to ask how that scene was for him. He boasted the true power of a challenger. Yoshito scoffed. With a nonchalant expression, he uttered that now he fully understands how powerful unique equipment is. That fed Nogishi's ego. He was brimming with pride. He boastfully told the girls that small fry like that wouldn't be able to take down a mid-boss. He demanded that they show their appreciation to him, the great Nogishi-sama. The man who was blasted away earlier approached Nogishi. Nogishi commented how the guy is still okay. Then, with a trembling hand, he pointed behind Nogishi and told him it was amazing. Nogishi was slightly confused. There was a bright yellow light coming from behind Nogishi. In an instant, Nogishi shoved his guys away and told them to move. He was excited as he announced that there's definitely a super rare item in there. He expressed that the treasure chest contains even better items than the chest that had Aegis Menesis in it. He praised how beautiful the chest is. While he heard that, Yoshito recalled the horrifying experience that he had. He was in distress. He doubted a chest that's even more impressive than the one containing the unique item as a reward for a 5th-floor mid-boss. He immediately informed Nogishi to halt. Nogishi let his guard down. Even if it was just for a moment, they shouldn't have forgotten something important. In that tower, there are many atrocious traps. When Nogishi opened the chest, it was empty. He was irritated as much as he was confused. All of a sudden, a bright light appeared. It summoned multiple layers of magic circles. Yoshito was caught off guard. He closed his eyes and covered it with his arms. When the light was gone, they were already in a different place. Yoshito looked around, trying to find out where they were. Mana was alarmed after realizing that they are no longer at the mid-boss room. Nogishi was in a panic. He expressed that the room is giving off a strange pressure. He experienced it before. Yoshito asked where he had felt that before, and Nogishi revealed that it was at a magic tower's top floor. After that, an ominous purple light appeared, and then a body came into view, and there were huge feet. On the throne, a menacing, muscular, large figure with 2 horns is sitting down. They were inside the boss room. It glared at them with its sharp eyes, and it exudes such a terrifying aura. Yoshito couldn't believe that they were in the boss room. A red screen appeared. It warned him that they were in the Magic Tower Hermes' top floor. It confirmed their forced teleportation to the boss room. He had a terrified expression. Because what stood in front of him is the master of the Magic Tower. This monster is called the Ogre Emperor. It ran towards them. They warned each of the incoming attacks. When its weapon collided with the ground, they were all blasted away. Yoshito admitted to himself that this monster is on a different level than any of the enemies that he had faced before. He knew that except for him, their stats aren't enough, so they shouldn't fight it head-on. Yoshito told Nogishi to get back and he'll handle it. Nogishi told him to stop saying nonsense or else he'll get himself killed. Takamichi Yoshito tried to reason out that even if he dies, but before he could continue, Nogishi and the others went to charge. The man that was hurt earlier used his sword to attack. He slashed the monster, while 2 other men followed his tracks. He was confident that it was a sure hit, but he was surprised to see the Ogre Emperor unscathed. Nogishi yelled. He went to charge while telling the monster not to underestimate him. He trusts himself as the dominator, Nogishi-sama. But before he could do anything, the Ogre Emperor moved and hit him. His blood spilled on the ground. His expression reflects how shocked he was. The rest were surprised, too. Yoshito froze. Nogishi stated that his shield can defend against any attack. But then his vision was slowly painted red. A notification appeared, and it notified him that due to insufficient stats, the ability of Aegis Mimesis cannot be activated. His body laid there on the ground. One of his comrades ran towards him, but Yoshito yelled at them to get away from there. When he turned to his back, he saw the Ogre Emperor had already made its move. One single swing, and it got Nogishi's comrades. Their blood painted the ground red. This angered Yoshito. His body trembled as he suppressed his emotions. All he could let out is one silent curse. The Ogre Emperor faced them. That terrified the girls, so Mana suggested that they should just run away. She was about to run towards the door, but she saw that it had a sealing magic, therefore escaping was not an option. Yuri starts crying while she asks if they are going to die too. The Ogre Emperor raised his weapon. It was focused on Yuri. Yuri shut her eyes in defeat, but with a speed of light. Yoshito moved in front of her and deflected the attack with his sword. The girls were astonished. Yoshito vowed that he won't let anyone else die from then on. With serious expression, he swore that he'll protect everyone even if he dies. The Ogre Emperor attacked again and he evaded it. He ran at an incredible speed and slashed the Ogre Emperor. This attack caused the Ogre Emperor to bleed, but that attack was shallow. Despite his size, the Ogre Emperor is quite agile. He chased after Yoshito, and then he swung his weapon that collided with the ground. It caused the ground to shatter. Yoshito became more serious. He bravely attacked the Ogre Emperor, but it deflected the sword with its armor on its arms. Yuri and Mana watched the fight. They were confused. To see that Yoshit is fighting the boss one-on-one. Yoshito admitted to himself that even if he's enhanced by the death penalty, the Ogre Emperor could still push him back. He uttered that it was expected of the boss of the Magic Tower, that he won't have enough stats to defeat it. But it wasn't a problem for him, as he planned to deplete its mana first. He told the Ogre Emperor that he would kill it even if he dies a few times. Then he courageously charged forward. He kept swinging his sword, and the Ogre Emperor deflected it all. But one attack hit the Ogre Emperor's forehead. Yoshito followed it with several more hits. This triggered the Ogre Emperor. Yoshito was hit. He thought that he already reached his limit, and the Ogre Emperor hit him with a powerful attack that made him bleed. Yuri saw it all. She was terrified, to the point that it made her scream from the top of her lungs. The system informed Takemichi Yoshito that he died. As a death penalty, a permanent debuff of agility -55 had been applied. Yoshito commented that it's good. Another window appeared to show that debuff inversion of agility +55 had been confirmed. In a completely serious tone, Yoshito uttered that he will rise until the Ogre Emperor has been defeated. Mana recognized that Yoshito used infinite revival. Yuri was worried because of the use of infinite revival. It will trigger a significant negative effect. So, they wondered how Yoshito was still able to fight. The Ogre Emperor had hit him again. Debuff inversion of resistance +20 has been confirmed. But it wasn't what he needed. He got killed again. Debuff inversion of HP +320 has been confirmed. He then wished for the death penalty to come at him, a penalty that can deal fatal damage to enemies. Yoshito bled a lot as he faced death, and in the next moment he had risen again. He was breathing heavily. As he expected, the excruciating pain of death drives him insane. But he managed to smile, because finally, his desired stat had increased. Debuff inversion of ATK +140 has been confirmed. And not only that, but he hit a jackpot with the increased rate, and a new window showed up. It states that due to reaching a certain level of proficiency in the skill Infinite Revival, the ability to specify respawn point had been unlocked. He looked for a detailed explanation, and he read the screen. It made him grin since it was really useful. That made up his mind. As he prepared to get revived, he had a determined expression. Our boy got revived again and went to charge at the Ogre Emperor with the confidence that this time it's his turn to kill that Ogre Emperor. A while ago, he was informed of the designation of a revival point where he can specify a respawn location within 3 meters of the location of death. He thought that it must be useful. The feature is probably to prevent him from getting stuck. If he was unable to respawn anywhere other than exactly where he had died, there would be a large number of cases where he would just die again. But now he's able to choose my respawn point. He is getting confident that he would be able to escape a death loop. However, if it's on a battlefield just like that, it can be used to get his opponent's blind spot. Our MC walked past these bitches as they were still frozen with time. Then, Yoshito positioned himself behind this monster. He then prepared his body and gathered enough strength on his feet. Since this time, it's now his turn to kill the Ogre Emperor. Yoshito struck the Ogre Emperor with great force, and immediately, Yoshito kept his distance. Mana finally caught up on what's happening, and wondered how Yoshito managed to move there in just a moment. Yoshito was curious if that's how people interpreted it. The Ogre Emperor roared again, but Takemichi Yoshito sliced it. He uttered that that was his repayment for those guys who were a bunch of oddballs but still didn't deserve what happened. Yoshito had never thought for a single time that they deserved to die. By defeating the boss of a magic tower, he thought that he could get his hands on unique item. But right now, what he desires even more than that is the Ogre Emperor's life. It launched another attack on him, but this monster was caught for a surprise. Yoshito ran on top of his arms. He had this serious expression on his face. The monster anticipated his attack and got stabbed by Takemichi Yoshito's sword. The monster was absolutely surprised. His body fell to the ground. Our MC breathed out a sigh of relief. A notification window showed that they have defeated the boss of the magic tower, Hermes. The conquest rewards him a piece of unique equipment and a magic stone sent to his library. He's happy about the reward, but he also had mixed feelings. Yuri came up from behind him and hugged him. She was thankful that he was safe. Yuri continued to hug him. Yoshito blushed. Yuri too, so she stepped back and apologized. Mana thanked him as well, because if he hadn't defeated the boss, they definitely would have died. And then she expressed that his way of fighting is too reckless, especially when Yoshito sacrificed himself over and over again. She expressed that it was painful to watch. Then she apologized to him since he saved them. He also apologized to them for making them watch how many times he died. And he told them that even if he fails over and over again, he will always come back soon. And that reminded him of something. That's it, really, really fucking painful. Dying multiple times, and by the hands of a tower boss at that. Mana was dumbfounded, so Yoshito told them that, as much as possible, that he'll do his best not to die. That reassured the girls. A few moments later, they sensed something. The notification showed that the boss of the Magic Tower, Hermes, has been defeated. Hermes will disappear in 10 seconds, and they will forcefully relocate. Yuri mentioned that after defeating the boss, the Magic Tower disappears. Their bodies glowed in yellow. They bid farewell for now and told them to meet with him again outside. And then he noticed something. He looked at the battle scene and the bodies of his comrades who died. He told the corpses that he won't ever forget about them. Then he said goodbye. The Magic Tower suddenly became blurred. The parts of it started disintegrating. The scene then shifted towards this woman who was surprised to know that Hermes had been conquered, even though the Magic Tower wasn't supposed to be complete yet. Her lackey confirmed this information and discussed that the disappearance of Hermes has been continued to be true. The secretary mentioned that there is a detailed report on the matter that should be arriving soon. The woman scoffed, and she mentioned that it became amusing. Meanwhile, Takemichi Yoshido woke up. He was confused as he lay in the middle of the streets. A man pointed at something. He turned to check what it was, and he saw that the Magic Tower Hermes is disappearing. He watched it carefully. He then thought about something, and he clenched his fist. Our boy then raised his fist and exclaimed that he really did conquer a magic tower. He smiled, but it immediately faltered. People were caught off guard that the boss of Hermes was defeated. Most people were surprised since it wasn't even supposed to have been explored to the 5th floor yet. He heard people gossiping about their speculations on the strong bastard who took down the boss. He imagined telling the people that he was the one who defeated the boss. But he couldn't exactly say that out loud. He would have been happy to announce it like that, though. He uttered to himself that conquering a magic tower for the first time had really increased his self-confidence. But he reminded himself not to get too carried away. That said, he chose to keep it a secret that he's the one who defeated the boss for now, because when it was known to the public, he would stand out too much. He chose to quietly get out of there. But the girls noticed him and they loudly called out his name. They interrogated him on what kind of unique equipment he received from defeating the boss. Everyone's attention was on them. People couldn't believe that he's the guy that defeated the boss monster. They knew him from being the guy who was sold that garbage skill called Infinite Revival. But now, he's the dominator of Hermes. A drink came out of the vending machine. Yoshido was the one who bought it from a vending machine in a slightly secluded area. With him are the 2 girls. He let out a sigh as he commented that they finally got away. People made such a huge fuss earlier. Mana apologized to him for being careless about that. Yuri was happy that Yoshito took down the boss of the Magic Tower and became the dominator of Hermes, so it can't be helped that he had become the center of attention. He pondered on the thought that he's now a dominator. He expressed that it's a strange feeling, even though until recently he was just a weakling challenger. Now he could say that it seemed that buying the skill stone for Infinite Revival wasn't a mistake. Yuri expressed a thought about Infinite Revival. She verified if it's true that there's a negative effect from dying, and if it's true, she wondered how Yoshito could use it well. Yoshito had a difficult time answering that. He wondered how he would even begin to explain to them about the inversion. He didn't even know where to start the story. Yuri noticed his discomfort. She told him that he's not trying to pressure him. She expressed that she's just curious, and if it's difficult for him, he doesn't need to answer. Yoshito took a sip of his soda while thinking that it's not really that a big deal to explain it to them, but he has some hesitations. Mana suggested putting the explanation aside for a moment. Then she looked at him while blushing, and she eagerly asked about the equipment he got as the reward for defeating the boss. Yoshito commented how she got pretty crazy over that kind of stuff. He told her to wait a second while he threw his can of soda in the trash bin. He's trying to open the system window, but it won't appear. And that's because they're outside of the magic tower. Fundamentally, the window can only be opened while inside of a magic tower. The use of various other things, such as stats or skills, are also limited to the inside of the magic towers. Because of this system, there aren't incidents of challengers causing problems in normal society. However, there is one exception. The one place that challengers are able to use their powers outside of the magic towers. That would be at the site of the magic towers. He entered the site where the Tower of Hermes was previously placed. There is a feeling that fills the site of the magic tower, and Takamichi Yoshito admitted that he can't get used to it. Now he can properly open the window. The two girls crowd over the screen. He told them that the name of the unique equipment he received as a reward for conquering the tower is Fos Amenos. Our MC tapped the button that said Item, and they were surprised with the sudden gush of wind. Yoshito anticipated it, and a shape of a sword slowly forms at his hand. He commented that it was amazing. He held the red sword with amusement. Yuri and Mana took a closer look at Yoshito's big and mighty red sword. It was a unique weapon called Fos Amenos. Yoshito swings the sword, and he commented that it's quite lightweight and easy to use. It made him look forward to the next magic tower conquest. Mana notices that Yuri is acting bashful. And then she thought of an idea. She called out to Yoshito. Mana suggested that they form a party together from the beginning of the conquest in the future. Yuri was surprised with that suggestion, and she eagerly expressed that she wants to be part of that party. Mana and Yoshito were surprised with her sudden yelling that they were unable to react. It was cute and funny when Mana looked at her with knowing eyes while she tried to deny it, and Yoshito had no clue at all. Since they didn't respond, she asked, "Can't I?" Yoshito smiled. He told her that she can, after all, they're already close friends. That made the girls happy. This bee then suddenly shifted her attention to our MC. Mana approached him closely to ask which magic tower they should go next. She suggested perhaps a similar scale to Hermes. Or maybe a bigger magic tower. She suggested that they challenge Zeus. Yoshito thought hard about it. Then he started speaking. He admitted that after leaving Hermes, there's a place that he wants to go to right away. Yuri asked, where? He revealed that it's the Tokyo Challengers Management Bureau. The girls did not expect that, and their excitement turned to confusion that it was funny. They couldn't wrap their heads on the idea that he wanted to go to the Management Bureau and not a magic tower. Yoshito hid his face so that it puzzled the girls. He was shy when he described that the Management Bureau buys magic stones and stuff at higher prices than the magic tower stalls. That's why he wanted to go there to exchange his items for money. And he finally admitted that it's because he bought the Infinite Revival that he's completely broke now. The girls had a funny, disgusted look on their faces that reflects "Eesh" expression, the Tokyo's Challenger Management Bureau. It is a government-operated organization aimed at supporting adventurers. All information for each magic tower is updated in real time. Buying and selling of magic stones and weapons are also conducted at fair prices. There are often many rip-offs at the magic tower stalls. But the Management Bureau conducts fairness and is highly valued. Also, since it's built on the site of the magic tower, there are no restrictions on the power of the challengers, which is another characteristic. The counter at the Management Bureau asked for the person next in line. Among the rewards for clearing Hermes, there were not only unique weapons but also magic stones. Yoshito hoped to make some money. The girl at the counter greeted him and asked if he would like to exchange magic stones for money. Yoshito replied yes, as he opened his system window. That's when Yoshito wondered how many stones they had gotten. He tapped the magic stone button. When the magic stones appeared, both Yoshito and the lady were surprised. The lady loses her wits upon witnessing the large pile. Yoshito questioned himself if there really were that many magic stones as part of the rewards for clearing the dungeon. The lady offered to process it. In his mind, Yoshito commented that she was charmed by the pile. A few moments later, the payment was done. Yoshito couldn't believe it. Forget the debt. Our boy had just become wealthy. He wondered what he'll use it for. Yuri and Mana suggested that he should probably avoid reckless spending of that money. Mana warned him not to get carried away and end up back in debt overspending. She made him think how awful that would be. Well, that burst Takamichi Yoshito's bubble. A girl then suddenly appeared. She uttered, "Found ya." Yoshito was alarmed. It sent chills to our MC's spine. The girl expressed that she heard that he went to the management bureau, so she looked for him. She approached him. Yoshito looked at her with suspicious eyes. The girl introduced herself as the chief of Tokyo's Challenger Management Bureau. Her name is Rido Fuyuni. She asked if he could spare her some time. She called him the Dominator of the Magic Tower Hermes. With glaring eyes, she addressed him as Takamichi Yoshito-kun. Yoshito thought about how her face is quite familiar to him. Within the management bureau that gathers tower challengers, she is a monster who is said to be the strongest. It seems that she was scouted to the management bureau after conquering 3 magic towers as a challenger. She even appears in advertisements for the bureau. There are plenty of chances to see her all over the city. He stared at her for quite some time, and it made her wonder why he's acting that way. Yoshito asked what the president of the management bureau wanted with him. She told him that first, she wants to hold a hearing about how he suddenly conquered the magic tower Hermes. And second, she wants to verify the true power of the new Dominator. They walk through a hallway inside the management bureau while Yoshito tells his story. Rido concluded the whole story with Yoshito getting caught in a trap and moved to the boss room. She expressed that the information must be reported to the other challengers. She added that she's grateful to him for sharing the information. And as for the Dominator Nogishi and his party, the management bureau will make sure to contact their surviving family members. She noticed their sullen expression. She told them that it's not uncommon for people to lose their lives while challenging the magic towers, but it goes without saying, and she said, "That's painful, isn't it?" Yoshito was surprised with what she said. He bit his lip upon realization. All this time, they have been telling themselves that there was nothing that they could have done about Nogishi and others. Tears started forming in his eyes. He admitted to himself that it's painful. He cried, as he thought that it's nice to be able to think that way. Someone called Yoshito and asked where they were. He simply answered that they are in the management bureau's training room. Rido touched something on the window screen, and then she threw the sword to Yoshito. When Yoshito saw what she threw, it was a sword. But he commented that it felt dull. She explained that it's the type of sword that they use in the management bureau's training hall, and Yoshito can use that. She then positioned herself, as she told him that she will allow him to fight her. She explained that properly understanding the true powers of dominators is also the responsibility of the chief of the bureau. Our MC said that it's not something that he can refuse. Mana suggested that if he's going to do it anyways, he should have a mindset of, "I'll send you flying bureau chief." Yoshito had a dumb expression as he thought that Mana would naturally say that pretty easily. A few seconds later, he became serious, and he expressed that, if he's going to do it, he might as well do it with his best. Rido asked him if he's ready. He answered yes. Yoshito thought to himself that his opponent is the notoriously strong chief of the management bureau. But he thought of himself as someone who defeated a tower boss. He thought to himself that he's a tougher opponent than Rido had expected. They began their duel. Immediately, Rito Fuyun was out of sight, and when she appeared, she's already in front of him. He barely dodged her sword. He was caught off guard. Rito was serious. She attacked him with an incredible speed. Yoshito had a hard time evading her attacks. He decided to keep a distance between them, but it did not work. Rito was already behind him. He turned to his back, and fortunately, he was able to evade her sword. He was breathing heavily. He admitted to himself that the overwhelming power is completely different. He was able to defeat the boss after dying over and over, but he admitted to himself that he still falls short of this dominator who was able to conquer magic towers without dying even once. Our MC also saw the look on Rito's eyes. Then, he realized something, that he's the one who persisted despite dying over and over again. So he questioned himself on why he was getting upset, with comparing the difference in their ability. So he thought that he can't win by only defending. Then he'll take advantage of the fact that anyone would keep their distance from the risk of death. He decided what to do, and that was to start his attack. Yoshito faced the president head-on. Rito was surprised with his actions. Yoshito noticed that the movement slowed down. He knew that at this time, he's faster. He swung his sword at her, but she gracefully evaded that. He was caught off guard. Then she counterattacked. It was a powerful attack. Rito expressed that she was surprised with his movement. Yoshito leapt towards her and asked her if he's right, that if it were a regular monster or person, she would be able to evade the opponent's attacks with no problem, and he noticed something, that just now, if Rito hadn't hesitated, it would have been a one-sided fight. Rito threw the sword at him. Yoshito evaded all of it while talking. He added that she thinks he's defenseless. That's why she hesitated for a moment to attack him with her sword. He expressed that he doesn't think that was her just being kind to him. It was because he was acting in a way that she didn't understand, that her hand simply froze out of instinct. He added that he also took a chance, and the reason is that it's because he has the infinite revival. He said sorry to her for being unfair. Yoshito attacked her, and explained that if they don't do that, there's no way an ordinary person like him could win. She glared at him. The phrase, "an ordinary person," echoed in her head. In her mind, she had received a report on infinite revival, that he can return from death endlessly, and that he can move forward without the fear of death. She was caught off guard, as she thought about how he had a fearsome ability. But even so, that fact was not enough for Yoshito to defeat her. She landed an attack on him. She told him that it won't happen a second time. Yoshito commented that her attack was painful, but that did not crush Yoshito's resolve. Rito Fuyun's eyes widened when Yoshito had pointed his sword at her neck. Yoshito told her that compared to dying, her attack doesn't hurt at all. She glared at him, but eventually she smiled. She told him that she understands his power now. She was about to say that she acknowledges her loss, but she couldn't finish the sentence. Because when she looked at him, he had already passed out. She was confused. Yoshito tried to speak. With the last bit of strength that he had, he expressed that he doesn't care who won or lost, but he needed medical treatment. It was a funny scene where his soul slowly leaves his body. The girls ran up to him, and those girls tried to push back his soul in. Eventually, he came back to his senses. He commented that he almost died. Rito was confused. She uttered, "But you didn't die, right?" And Yoshito replied that it was not the point. He didn't argue any further, and since they already dueled, he asked if he could go back now. Rito refused that idea since they still need to have an important conversation. She explained that now that she verified as the chief of the management bureau, that his true power exceeds that of an average member. Because of that, she wishes to extend a special request to the challenger Yoshito. Mana and Yuri were surprised to hear that, especially that it was something that had an absolutely amazing reward. Rito told Yoshito that the reward can be given in cash, and she believes that it's an amount that will satisfy him. Yoshito told her that he appreciated it. Then he asked for the details of the request. She explained that a few hours ago, the Management Bureau verified the appearance of a new magic tower, and right now, the entrance is being sealed off. She wants Yoshito to enter that tower and gather information about it. Basically, the request is to conduct a preliminary investigation of the magic tower, Persephone. And she admitted that it is a request that she can only entrust to Yoshito. Yoshito asked to confirm that if a new magic tower appears, usually it's normal for the Management Bureau to investigate it. So, he wondered why she wanted him to do it this time. She replied that they have already dispatched challengers belonging to the Management Bureau. Yoshito was surprised to know that. She explained that there were 2 parties of 5. In total, 10 people were dispatched. And as for those who returned, not a single person did. Yuri asked if there's really not a single one. Mana uttered that it can't really be true. Rito replied that she thought that way too, but those people were found by the search team that they sent after them. Every single one of those challenges they had dispatched were found dead near the entrance. She explained that those people seemed like they were desperately trying to get outside, and it seems that they ran out of energy just a step away from the exit. That made Yoshito think. The area near the entrance should be a safe area. Rito agreed with him. He uttered that monsters shouldn't appear in the safe area. So, he wondered why those people would die in an area like that. Furthermore, the bodies of the challengers didn't appear to have any wounds inflicted by monsters. Their cause of death is uncertain. Rito explained that when she received the report, she only requested the retrieval of the bodies. She called back the search team immediately because it seemed too dangerous. So, when, where, or what the cause of death is has been a mystery. That's the current situation of the magic tower Persephone. So Yoshito concluded that because he had the infinite revival, that made Rito want to give him the special request. Rito clarified that she had no intention of throwing his life, so she asked him not to misunderstand. At the same time, she also can't allow any more deaths amongst the Management Bureau. She approached him to ask if he would take the request for her sake. He looked at her and sighed. He replied, "I understand. At the Magic Tower Persephone, on the 1st floor, a safe area." Yoshito looked around and uttered, "So this is Persephone." He took a big breath in, and he slapped his face. That made him ready for this. So, his plan is to identify the cause of death of the challengers, and he needs to relieve everyone's worries quickly. Earlier, Yuri was hysterical, telling him not to die. She was extremely worried. For now, he decided to move on. He took out an item. He's motivated by the fact that they're relying on him. Phos Amenos is now at his hands. He continued to explore. And on the other end of the hallway, there were skeletons marching with a shield and weapon. Upon seeing it, he moved really fast. He came close to them without the skeleton noticing him, and in an instant, he finished them off. He was happy with his sword since it was light and easy to swing, as expected of his unique equipment. Then he planned to test out the unique ability. But he sensed something. The air was different. A purple smoke passed through him. He tried to slash the smoke, but nothing happened. And then a red notification window appeared. It scared him. But now he figured out what caused the death of all challengers. The notification window showed a warning for an abnormal condition. It's the curse of Persephone, and now that it has been granted to him, he will die in 120 seconds. The abnormal condition that causes death after seeing it once. He understood that it was just right to have him do the investigation. Yoshito thought that it would have absolutely caused him to panic if he was a normal challenger. If the challenger leaves the magic tower, any abnormal conditions, buffs, and debuffs get canceled. When the dispatched challengers were afflicted by the curse, they would have frantically made their way to the exit. Then, even though they were able to reach the safe area, the curse took effect, just one step away from it. Yoshito stated that it makes sense that there were no injuries on the bodies because the cause of death was the abnormal condition. The smoke loomed over him, but it moved in an unexpected way. Yoshito noticed that it was running away from him. He watched it escape. He uttered that after rubbing the curse on him, it's already finished its job. That kinda annoyed him. He told the smoke that was no longer there that it should not look down on him like that. The warning sign appeared, and it notified him that he would die in 18 seconds. He uttered that it goes without saying that against infinite revival. The warning sign told him that he would die, and then a new window showed that abnormal condition, inversion, has been verified. His condition will be fully recovered. The effects had been affected by inversion. He smiled as he said, "Thanks." Because of the curse, his body is in perfect condition. He remembered the path that the cursed fog took. He observed for a minute and decided to chase it for a bit. The cursed fog appeared again. He wondered if it's the same abnormal condition. He knew that if it's like that, normal challengers won't be able to conquer the tower. The fog is getting thicker, and then he arrived at the room where there's a large pool of liquid. He figured out that the place must be the source of the cursed fog. A blade then swirled at him. Fortunately, he was able to evade it at the last minute. The blade-like smoke collided with the wall, and it exploded. Then he saw a flying figure. It was the cursed spring gatekeeper. It's similar to a human, but it wore a mask on its face. The cursed spring gatekeeper was angry. It launched its spherical blades at Yoshito. Given his agility, Yoshito was able to dodge it well. This made the monster angrier. It yelled loudly, and it released a thick smoke that covered the ground up. Yoshito saw this huge fog as dangerous. It made a tornado around him. The cursed spring gatekeeper was delighted with that. Yoshito had finally discovered that it was that monster that controls the fog. With those overlapping curses, the monster's killing intent is literally overflowing. A warning sign showed that he's about to die in 120 seconds. Out of nowhere, a skeleton appeared behind him. Good thing he sensed it on time and was able to slash it before he got hit. He told the cursed spring gatekeeper that it seemed like it called for some other monsters. Several skeletons appeared. It attacked him all at once. He blocked the blades with his sword, but a skeleton attacked him from behind. His expression wasn't good as he expressed that it hurts. He fell into his own pool of blood. The cursed spring gatekeeper laughed. Yoshito fell silent. Then he asked the cursed spring gatekeeper if it can really afford to be so relaxed. The notification window showed that his condition will be fully recovered, and when he got up, he sliced several skeletons at once. He mentioned that the Magic Tower's curse is nothing but the highest quality of recovery medicine for him. He went to directly attack the cursed spring gatekeeper, and he sliced it into pieces. A sudden glow caught his attention. The spring's curse has disappeared. When he saw it, it was clear blue water at the Challengers Management Bureau Tokyo branch. Someone uttered that, basically. What killed the challengers in the Magic Tower Persephone was the abnormal condition of the curse. Rito said that to think such a thing exists. Then she asked if it seemed like there's anything they can do about the curse. The one she was talking to was none other than Yoshito. He confidently answered that there is. And he threw something at her, which he states as the best countermeasure. She caught it. It was a container with blue liquid. She asked him what it was. He explained that after defeating the monster that appeared from the cursed spring, the spring was purified, and he got that. It was Persephone's holy water. It is able to dispel the curse of Persephone. Also, after it was used, the person will be immune to new curses for 600 seconds, dispelling the curse and even a preventative effect. He told her that if they use that and go in, even normal challengers should be able to advance without dying. He explained that he only went to look until the 3rd floor, but it seemed like there's a cursed spring on every floor. And that's when he had it all figured out. Persephone is a magic tower, which they have to climb by purifying the cursed springs and securing the holy water. That was Yoshito's conclusion. It made Rito Fuyun smile. She thanked him for the report, the warning signs, and countermeasures. And if all of those things are understood, the magic tower Persephone can be opened up even to regular challengers. She grabbed something from her drawer since he had already completed the request. She praised him for the great work, and she addressed him as Dominator Takamichi Yoshito. And then she stacked paper bills at the table. It overwhelmed Yoshito. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy shit!" She was confused with his reaction, so she asked if it wasn't enough. Yoshito made it clear that it was enough. He left the building hugging a bag. It caught the attention of the people. He was thinking how this reward plus the reward from Hermes lead to a ridiculous amount. A kid even noticed his strange expression while holding the bag. He was stressed out on what he should spend on. A few days later, our MC had fully repaid the debt from buying the Infinite Revival. Even so, there was a lot of reward left over. So he went to a subtly luxury brand store. He came out of it with flashy clothing that looked awkward. He has a cap, sunglasses, leopard print blazer, turquoise shirt, white pants, and several pieces of jewelry. This dude even had 4 fucking watches. He looked at the sky and commented how it has a different feel to it. Then he heard someone calling out to Yuri. It was Mana. She was telling Yuri that the Persephone is open to the public now. She wanted to invite Yoshito and challenge them together. Our MC was stressed out to find Yuri and Mana there. The girls were about to reach him. He tried to hide his face while praying that they wouldn't notice him. He carefully held his breath while sweat was dripping down his body. They passed by, and he was able to let out a breath. But Mana noticed him and turned around. Yoshito tried to look away, but Mana became suspicious, so she made sure to look at him carefully. Then she made a disturbed face when she realized who it was. She called his name. Yoshito became defensive and told her not to act so grossly. It was funny. He went on full defensive, saying that he suddenly had a lot of money and had no idea how to spend it. Yuri tried to comfort him by saying that she thinks he looked cool. Mana's expression says otherwise. He replied that even if they tried to be considerate, it didn't feel good at all. Mana told them to put aside the strange outfit for now. He replied that she's mean. Then Mana invited him to challenge Persephone together. He asked her why she was so interested in it. He wondered since it's supposed to be a pretty dangerous magic tower. Mana replied that magic stones have been altered. She explained that magic stones that have been altered by the cursed fog should sell a ton, so any challenger confident in their abilities will head there. Yuri added that according to the report from the Management Bureau, the challengers have already pushed to the 10th floor within just a few days. It was such an abnormal place. Mana expressed that it was unfair that only Yoshito became rich. She asked him to help them earn some money too. Yuri bashfully expressed that she's happy to go to any magic tower as long as she can go with Yoshito. That made Yoshito think. As long as they brought some holy water, there shouldn't be any risk of death. Then he told them that they will go join the attack on Persephone. But before they could do that, he told these bitches that he still needs to do something first, and that was to change his clothes first. Yoshito would probably be distracted by those 4 watches. Meanwhile, at the magic tower of Persephone, there were dead bodies. Some had even had the holy water with them, but a floating figure with a scythe defeated them. It was wearing a robe, but when it turned around, it revealed a skull with purple glowing eyes. At the magic tower Persephone 10th floor, a skeleton had appeared, and it attacked Yoshito. Thankfully, he blocked it using his sword. The skeleton did not move when it hit his sword. He glared at it before he sliced it into pieces. Currently, Yoshito is at level 16. Mana and Yuri were amazed. Mana commented that he really became strong. He replied that after killing all those monsters, it was natural for his level to rise. But in his head, it won't make much a difference on his stats. But if his level is too low, people will start probing. He thought of raising it a bit more. He noticed the system window displayed a warning. Only 60 seconds remain for the effect of Persephone's holy water. The curse nullification effect of the holy water will wear off soon. Mana uttered that the level had already been purified, so she thought they wouldn't get cursed, but she insisted to Yoshito to use the holy water again, just in case. Takemichi said yes, yet he turned his back. If he uses the holy water and it gets affected by inversion, he'll be cursed instead. He glanced at them. He couldn't find the right time to tell them about inversion. He thought that he should explain it soon. He was about to call them, but he saw a monster behind them. He called out their names, but Yuri had been grabbed by the flying skeleton monster, and she screamed loudly as it took her away. Mana called out to her. Yuri had dropped the holy water. The monster faced them. It took out its death scythe and pointed the blade at Yuri. Yoshito internally cursed. Yuri saw the red screen. It warned her that she had been cursed, and she will die in 120 seconds. Yoshito was alarmed, since it was a monster that could curse them, and to run into it just when the holy water's effect wore off. In that situation, Yuri won't be able to take the holy water on her own. Mana then charged towards the monster to save Yuri. She moved fast, but all her attacks were blocked, and then she saw a quick movement. That blasted her away. Yuri got worried for her. Yoshito told Mana to get back, and he'll be the one to save Yuri. His sword was blocked with the scythe. Yoshito clicked his tongue. He attacked it again. The monster watched him and successfully blocked the attacks from him. He was surprised that he couldn't get through. That's when he realized that the fucker isn't just some small fry. He kept his distance from it, as he questioned why. Even though the monster is pretty strong, it has only been focusing on defense. He wondered what the monster was planning. Mana told him that they have to hurry. She explained that there isn't even 90 seconds left until Yuri's curse takes effect. Yuri begged the monster to let her go, but the monster glared at her, which terrified her, and the monster laughed at her. It laughed so loudly that it echoed in the room. This monster is called Soul Expunger. That's when Yoshito had it all figured out. He explained that the monster waits until the holy water wears off and attacks the challengers. It's relishing in the fear that it causes them. Mana was surprised with his facial expression. He was furious. He told the monster not to underestimate him. He launched an attack towards the monster while calling it a bastard. It defended again, and it laughed at his face to mock him. This made Yoshito angrier. He stepped back when the monster suddenly moved away. Yoshito was surprised to see it running away. He told the monster to wait. Mana invited him to chase it together. It turned into a corner, and when they followed it, they were surprised at what they saw. There was an army of skeletons waiting for them. The Soul Expunger commanded the skeletons to attack. Yoshito figured out that it lured them there to finish them off. He asked Mana what was wrong, or if she's scared. She took out her weapons and replied, as if. Rather, she was already waiting for this moment. She skillfully defeated those skeletons. Her expression showed she's all fired up. Yoshito verified if she can keep up. She confidently answered yes. Both of them charged towards the monster, and on their path were several skeletons which they finished off first. Some skeletons used bow and arrow, and it released arrows at the same time. Mana was about to be hit from the side, but Yoshito immediately came to her aid. He asked her if she's okay. He's now feeling the pressure since there's not even 60 seconds left until Yuri's curse takes effect. He became serious as he let out a powerful aura. He uttered that he'll open a path, and he zoomed in while crushing several skeletons along the way. He saw a screen pop out. There was an item drop. It's a ring called Corpse's Grudge. When equipped, it grants the effect of death every 5 seconds. That made him grin. He uttered that for such an item with zero merit to exist, he wondered if it should be considered as harassment. As something like that won't be equipped by anyone, he equipped the item. He knew there's no one but him that will use it. The ring appeared on his finger, and he was notified that he would die in 5 seconds. He knew that the ring's effect will be inverted, and he'll be fully healed in 5 seconds. There's no need for him to worry about defending. He dashed as he continued forward. He hit many skeletons as he passed through. It was perfect. He told the Soul Expunger that he will show it, the special attack skill of Fossa Nemos. It was the 7-strike assault. With each strike, the attack power increases. If the strikes are interrupted, the skill will fail, and there is a long cool down before it can be used again, so it's very difficult to find the right timing to use it. However, the Soul Expunger moved, and it sliced Yoshito's arm. Yuri was horrified and worried. He was in pain. But the cut had been fully healed, so he went to strike back. He was excited as he announced that now he can fully heal every 5 seconds. The monster blocked his sword, but Yoshito's attack was so powerful that it blasted the monster away. He went to chase it. The monster made panic noises. He slashed Yoshito again. Blood spilled on the area, but eventually Yoshito had 0 seconds left until death. Inversion was activated. He told the monster that it was too bad, and it can just send its complaints to the ring. The window showed that the inversion of the effect death has been confirmed. His physical condition will be fully recovered. He slashed the monster with so much strength that it was able to let go of Yuri. He told the monster that the next hit will be the last. It was his most powerful strike. He charged while screaming, "Eat this shithead!" and it hit the monster